Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Great Expectations. Chapter 17, Magwitch's Dear Boy. Magwitch was breathing with difficulty because of a wound in his chest. He had received that wound in a deep cut on his head when the hamburger steamer had cut over him. I cradled him in my arms and in whispered gasps he explained that he and Compeyson had gone in the water locked in each other's arms. There was a struggle and Magwitch had broken free. The boat encircled the area where Compeyson was last seen, but he was nowhere to be found. His body was later recovered along the bank. At length, we rowed back to the inn, and I was allowed to buy dry clothes for Magwitch. But the officer in charge, the one who had hailed us and steered the boat, said that all the prisoner's possessions, including his wet clothes and his money, must be taken back to London and turned over to the authorities. Knowing this would break Magwitch's heart, I made my mind to keep that information from him. Sitting beside the wounded Magwitch, I held his hand and urged him to conserve his strength, but he needed to speak. "Dear boy," he said, "I knew I was taking a chance coming back to England, but I had to see you. I did, and now I'm content. My boy can be a gentleman without me, but it's best that our gentlemen seem to have no connection with the likes of me. Just maybe sit in the courtroom where I can see you and don't ask for more." "No," I cried. "I will never stir from your side as long as they permit me to be with you. Please, dear God, I will be as true to you as you have been to me." I felt his hand tremble in mine as I said this. Soon smiling, he fell asleep. Magwitch's trial was very short, very clear. Mr. Jaggers acted in self-defense, but he warned me that the matter was hopeless. Even though he introduced testimony that Magwitch had reformed and become a respected and wealthy man in New South Wales, the fact remained that he was a returned convict who had been warned not to return under punishment of death. Because of his chest wound and exposure in the water, Magwitch grew weaker every day. As he faced his jury with ebbing strength, they could take no pity on him, but he had to follow the law and find him guilty. When the judge sentenced him to death, Magwitch said to him, "My lord, I have been received my sentence of death from the Almighty, but I bow to your sentence." I earnestly hoped and prayed that he might die before the judge's sentence could be carried out, but dreading that he might linger on, I wrote appeal after appeal, setting forth his whole story and mine to everyone in authority who might help. Followed up these petitions with personal visits. I was able to visit Magwitch daily in the prison hospital. He was singing slowly and hardly spoke at all, but he would respond to me by slight pressure on my hand as I held his weak one. On my 10th visit, I saw a change had come over him. His eyes were turned toward the door and lined up as I entered. "Dear boy," he said, "you are always the first visitor into the ward. I wait by the gate so that when they open it, I won't miss a minute of time with you." "Thank you, dear boy, and God bless you," he whispered. "You have never deserted me." I pressed his hand in silence, for I could not forget that I once meant to desert him. "And what's best of all," he continued, "you've seemed closer to me since I came under this dark cloud, other than what the sun shone. That's worth everything to me." He began to breathe with great difficulty, and a film seemed to come over his face. "Are you in such pain?" I asked softly. "I don't complain, dear boy." Those were his last words. He made a weak gesture with his hand. I understood that he wanted me to lay down my hand on his breast. I did so, and he smiled and covered my hand with both of his. The bell sounding the end of visiting hours rang just as the prison doctor entered. He leaned over Magwitch and shook his head sadly. Then he put his hand on my shoulder, indicating I should remain in my seat. I understood that Magwitch was living his last moments, and I leaned over him. "Dear Magwitch," I whispered, fighting back the tears, "I must tell you something now, at the last moment. Can you understand me?" He pressed my hand weakly to indicate that he did. "You had a child once who you lost. There was a stronger pressure on my hand. She was not killed, as you feared. She lived and found powerful plans. She is living now. She is a lady very beautiful, and I am in love with her." With a last effort, Magwitch raised my hand to his lips and kissed it. Then he let it sink back on his breast, again covered by his hands. A placid look came over his face. His hand dropped quickly on one side. Magwitch was dead. I was not horrified by witnessing death so closely. I felt as peaceful as the silent aged face on the pillow, for I had not been true to Joe Gargery and his friendship. I had found the strength of heart to be true to Magwitch and remain his dear boy till the end. It's the end of that chapter. See you later.